Happy Purim Katan. Today is the 14th of the first Hebrew month of Adar. It's called the Small Purim. Small Purim, big joy. Short thought. This week we read a portion in the Torah called Kisisa. The Torah tells us that when the Jews build a sanctuary, a temple for God, they should make various structures that are famous, such as the menorah, the altar, the table of the bread, and other vessels which were made out of prominent, famous materials that are used for important things, such as gold, silver, and copper. Then the Torah tells us this week that there should be a wash basin with which all the Jewish priests or Kohanim would wash their hands and feet with before they go in to do the rituals of the temple. What was this wash basin called the kior in Hebrew made of? It was made out of mirrors. Not just mirrors, used vanity women's mirrors. Our sages teach us that when the Jewish people lived in Egypt under these Nazi Egyptians who would hit them with straps and make them work under the Egyptian sun for 18 hours a day, and they would come home, the husbands collapsed from exhaustion, so their wives would make sure to look good with these mirrors, and they would show their faces to their husbands and say, look, I'm much more prettier than you, and they would warm their husband up to have an element of family life and have Jewish children. It's because of them that the Jewish men had any capability of having some more children, and eventually they had a lot of children together because of these righteous Jewish women in whose merit the Jews left Egypt, our sages say. And it was these mirrors that these women donated to Moshe, to Moses, and Aaron, his brother, the high priest, when they heard that a sanctuary is being built for God. And Moshe was weary of putting them in the tabernacle, in the sanctuary, because they were used for lust of human beings between one another, and it really doesn't fit in. And God said to Moshe, remember, my greatest pleasure me as a creator has is when my presence and my light that's coming out of me, my infinite spiritual light, also dwells into very lowly things. The lower it is, the greater my pleasure it is. So when you build me things made out of gold, copper, and silver, and you utilize them, those materials, to make structures for me in which I dwell, that makes me happy. But when you take mirrors that were used for the evil inclination and you utilize them to make a structure for me, that makes me even more happy, because it's even a lower item ethically and morally and spiritually, and therefore it brings me greater pleasure when holiness and meaningfulness is brought into that low place. So Moshe said to God, explains the saintly Lubavitcher Rebbe, that there's one issue with what you're saying, God. I agree with you. It's all about bringing godliness and meaningfulness and light and joy and happiness into mundanity and to physicality and to materialism and into a lowly realm. But that's only when those items and materials are neutral materials, such as when a woman takes a wax candle and lights Shabbos candles with it, she's bringing great levels of God's light into the candle. She lights them for Shabbos. When any Jewish person takes bread and makes a blessing on it, they bring godliness into the bread. When we take wool and we turn them into our tzitzis, and the same thing is with everything we do a mitzvah with. Parchment for the mezuzah, we're bringing great levels of holiness into that thing. Even though you can't see it physically, you don't have the right tools, you refine yourself, and people who have refined themselves, such as holy rabbis, such as Moses, they could see it. There's energy in it. But if it's an item such as a used mirror of vanity that was used for seduction, you could only bring a reflection of godliness in it. And the Rabbi explains that Moshe was of the opinion that just like a mirror physically seems to have an advantage over a window, that a window could only show you what's ahead of you, but a mirror shows you what's behind you, shows you a new dimension. Nevertheless, says the Rabbi, Moshe was claiming that dimension that the mirror provides, that the window doesn't, is a false dimension. When you're looking at the mirror, you're not looking at what's behind you. You're looking at a false reflection, a fake reality of what's behind you. You're just looking at a mirror. Whereas when you look in a window, you're looking at the real thing. So Moshe said to God, these mirrors are so low, even if you make them part of the wash basin in the temple, only a reflection of your holiness could go into it, not your actual godliness. So God said, I don't disagree with you, but that's the greatest point of it. Just like these women converted these mirrors in order to produce the Jewish people, I want that these mirrors should be converted to be part of my temple. The lesson for all of us today, utilize everything that you own and everything that you possess and everything you're associated with for good things. Even things that you own, that you encountered, that were used for lowly things. Now, utilize even those things for a good purpose. And in the merit of today's Jewish women as well, we will merit to see the third temple in Jerusalem with all of Israel and the third wash basin with Mashiach now. Amen.